subgroup of Burmese. So first, I'd like to have an overview on Pela phonology. First is syllable structure. It has two kind of syllable structures. The main point we're gonna discuss today is about the non-reduced syllables that may have a vowel nucleus and initial and one possible glide and is coda and tone. So here's the consonants. So the consonants which could be a coda is ba, da, ga, a, ma, na, ga. So it has seven. Okay. And it has four tones with some tone sample phenomenon. Okay, the main topic I'd like to discuss about today is the initial epenthesis. That is in Pela language when a closed syllable or a syllable ending in glides e or u precedes the zero initial syllable on morpheme borders. A homogenic initial consonant of the coda uh, will be inserted as the initial of the next syllable. It's not always triggered, and which initial to be inserted is conditioned by the manner of articulation of the preceding coda as well. So in previous words, the phenomenon is barely mentioned in previous works like in Die and others. 2007, it says some function words beginning with a vowel usually get additional consonants under the influence of preceding syllables, but there was no description of its rules nor all its patterns to be given. So there were only three examples of it. That is three verbs with the realist marker R. And so long becomes longa. So the word to go downward I become aya. And to sway non becomes nonna. So there are so let's have a review of coda simple. That there are seven consonant codas and two are vowels or semi-vowels. Okay, and the so we are gonna divide it to three cases to discuss it. First, for the nasal codas, the same nasal initial will be inserted. It's almost obligated after n and optional after ma or nga. For example, the reciprocal verb lam cause am when it precedes the realist marker a, so it becomes lamma. So for the word happy, it's ngonna. And it also happens on the nominalizer a. So so something which is beautiful will become youngy. And not only on verbs but in compound words, compound nouns, the phenomenon does happen as well. So for example, in the compound word gamma, the M coda was copied to the next syllable. So for glides or vowels, E and U, the situation is almost same, but only one point is different that U rarely cause the epenthesis. So there's only one example for U, but a lot of examples for E. So like the aya, which is have been mentioned before, um, and mu to be at ease, plus the imperative a would become wu. Okay, and so u hardly calls the epenthesis, so do become do simply doa rather than doa. And now to want to do something just become nawa, not nawa. And other vowels never cause initial epenthesis. So another case is the so-called oral stop codas that those are not nasal nor vowels. So a homogenic nasal initial is inserted, not the stop itself. So to sleep, yap becomes yamma. To get drunk, yod become yonna. And for long words, like the word to snore, which is a long word from Jimpo, it happens as well, like yap kok kok na. So possibly this is the most frequently attested pattern because of two essential words, that is the copula ngot and to do, which is got. So in those cases, it would be ngonna and kotna respectively. Okay, the last case we're going to introduce is glottal stop codas. Uh, but there are two situations of it. The first is a rhyme ending in a, but except ao. So the surface is remains unchanged. For example, to put in ke become ke. So to go up to climb da become da. So at least phonologically nothing happened um, on the next syllable. But when it comes to the rhyme owl, the owl would cause not just phonetically but rather nga insertion with high frequency. So to pick up gao becomes gao nga, to shave gao becomes ao nga, and so with whom would become kiao nge. So here comes two questions. The question one is, what is the reason for ba da ga the stop codas to cause a nasal epenthesis instead of a stop one? And the question two is, what made the owl rhyme have such a special feature, causing a nga insertion? So first, let's try to solve the first question. So I want to first introduce a similar phenomenon which was found in Rawang, which is also a TB language spoken in Myanmar and China. So according to La Pola 2021, when a morpheme with monophthong syllable is added, the original codas ba da ga become glottal stops, and there would be inserted homogenic nasal initial. And Lapola suggests that rhinoglottophilia which is a connection between nasality and glottality attributed to the lowering or keeping unraised of venom, and which is advocated by Matsoff in 1975, may be a plausible clue for it. However, at least for Pela, it does not seem to be the right answer. Um, so, it's because in Pela, far from being a possible trigger of any nasal feature, even blocks any epenthesis, or only reproduces itself phonetically, as we have seen above. So especially when the syllables are purposely pronounced separately, may serve as a separator. So also unlike Yuanzong, so the stop codas almost never reduce themselves in Pela. So they never become glottal stops themselves. But um, the idea the idea is still um, important that it seems that a lowered velum does serve as a foundation of nasal epenthesis. So another similar case is a nasal release in mainland Southeast Asian languages such as in Vietnamese and as I observed in some Chinese dialects like Cantonese. So there would be a nasal release after a soft coda. It seems that the nasal insertion happened in Pela due to the reason resembling the Vietnamese one. So it's that a lowered velum provides the route for air while the oral closure is maintained. So following the release of closure, a nasal stop is made. And there's two possible factors blocking a voiceless nasal release. One, no voiceless nasals exist in Pala's consonant inventory. And two, succeeding vowels. Succeeding vowels may also induce voice initials. Okay, that's my solution, my opinion on the first question. So let's now move to the second one. That what made owl cause a nga insertion, which is unique among the rhymes ending in a. First, about the synchronic situation. So only owl cause a nga insertion with high frequency. And in addition, owl has a variant alk in non-final positions on compound words, as in so the word for bean, and when it's a long, it's now. But for the ferment beans, literally uh, bean and roten is not. But and for the diachronical background, it's known that a reflects former partially lost ba, da, and ga in Bala, depending on rhymes. So here we can say, so ao might also be uh, a changed version, a changed form for of a former ga. So let's see the comparison in Burmese languages. So, for example, the word for pickup or the noun paddy is gao in Pala, while it's gao in Dongwo, and also written as gok in Burmese. So is the word for the classifier of person, the word for being, to drink, and stone. So especially the word for stone, since um, it generally is appear not alone but as a part of a compound word as the first element. So it frequently shows its variant loud. So from the above, it's clear that historically "ao" was originated from "auk", and the transition is still ongoing as "auk" is retained in compounds. And this actually depends on speakers that in simple words, in some speakers, which is the "auk" is still appears. So other rhymes which do not cause the same phenomenon while carrying a from former ga must have reduced their codas much earlier than owl, and actually presumably have started since the stage of Proto-Northern Burmish. So owl to owl, the sound change of to owl is the last step of the sound change of ga coda to a. So ga in Northern Burmese languages, so we can say which the rhymes which had ga coda but becomes r in modern languages. So there we have the ag and the ug and the org, but neither ag nor org still cause epenthesis of nga in modern Pela. So like we have seen above. So for example, the word for to climb is ta. Is simply ta, and the word for to exit to is simply toa. So it's quite convincing to assume that ak had shifted to a in the stage of Proto-Northern Burmish, as none of the languages shows any trace of ga. So my conclusion for the second question is, so considering the diachronic background of ending with a coda ga, it's natural for ao to cause a nga insertion because it originates from and is still restored as ao in some environments. Okay, that's the reference. 阿叫高嘞，谢谢大家，thank you。